Good morning for some of you and good afternoon for half of you. I know some of you are on a different time zone, which is funny because I have a lot of clients that are on C time or CST time and Pacific, Central and Pacific time. I have a small amount of clients that actually are in my area or in the Eastern Standard Time. Good afternoon, Kay. So I'm sipping on, not sipping on, I'm drinking it. I need it. Coffee with almond creamer because it's simple and it's low amounts of sugar in it. So, hello, Tangela. What I'm planning to do is change the time to 12 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time for me on Wednesdays because 10 is starting to get a little bit difficult. There's two reasons why. Hi. There's two reasons why. I'm always doing something. Well, I teach a night class on Tuesday evenings, and I usually don't get home till almost 11 at night because I talk with my I talk with my students. Not to mention, good afternoon, Lynette. Not to mention, when I get home at 11, I'm trying to wind down, trying to get things together for videos or editing or, answering questions and emails. And by that time, I either end up in bed at midnight, which is usually my bedtime, or I'll go to sleep a little bit later than that. It'll be 2 o'clock in the morning. And when it's 2 o'clock in the morning, most of the time I do fall asleep on a Wednesday. Any other day is usually by midnight because I wake up, like biological clock has been set for me where I've trained myself to be in bed by midnight. And I mean, not be in bed, I'm in bed by 11, but I'm asleep pretty much by midnight and I just wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. But on Tuesdays, whenever I teach a class, it's pretty hard because I still need time to wind down when I get home. And that usually doesn't end until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then, thus, I actually don't wake up till at 10, maybe like 10 minutes after 10. So that's why I'm going to be changing it to 12 in the afternoon. I have a feeling that might be a better time for most people because it's a little bit later in time for those in different time zones instead of it being, I think, almost 6 o'clock in the morning for some. I think that's what it is. If you're from North Carolina, it's probably so easier for you. Hello. um, 12 o'clock in the afternoon is usually a time where most people are on break. They're at work on break, or they're just getting their day started. Some people, like me, I work from home. So this gives me an opportunity to kind of get some things together in the morning, and then I can, assist you guys and be live. 10 o'clock in the evening is still good, but more than likely it's going to be through Instagram because that's a whole nother market of people. And they don't necessarily care to watch YouTube videos. They may, or watch YouTube live videos. They prefer Instagram. It's just a different market of people. So, or in a different age group, to be honest. So, with that being said, now that I kind of given you somewhat of a description of my sleep pattern, I sleep from 12 to 8. I tend to eat from 12 to 8. So that's kind of how my pattern is. If any reason I go to bed 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I may not eat until 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock in the morning, I may not eat until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that is my pattern of what some people will call that intermittent fasting. Everybody does a form of intermittent fasting, guys. Everybody does. You eat between a certain time and you don't eat between a certain time. That's all intermittent fasting is. There aren't any necessary rules to it. It's just timing. That's all it is, and it depends on the person's lifestyle. So there's nothing wrong with waking up and eating first thing when you wake up. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with stopping to eat at 6 o'clock in the evening. If that's you, that's you. That's what works for you. So everybody does a form of intermittent fasting. But in this video, I'm going to talk about my experience with keto because I've started keto January the 15th. I started my ketogenic diet. Hey, Lori. And that's what I did. I started keto and I started fasting. 24-hour fast on Sundays is what I do, is 24-hour fast. And I'll be finishing up editing a video just to give you guys an idea of how my week goes all the way up until that day that I do a 24-hour fast, which is quite enlightening because it is stress on the body, but it also gives your system a break. So, how to do keto first. There's two types of ketos, and I'm starting to learn this just through YouTube, people talking about it. It seems to be the most popular diet out there because it's getting people the results that they're looking for, which is really just the scale budging. That's really what it is. And inches lost, you do see the inches lost, but people are scale motivated. They're motivated by what the scale says. And I'll tell you why I'm not motivated by it at all, because I weigh 150 pounds. I weighed myself today and it said 165. I had no food. Like, I don't, scales just don't, they don't depict the right things. So, keto is most popular. And I am learning that there are variations to ketogenic diet. There is the low carb or no carb. Yeah, measuring tape is much better. I lost about a half an inch today in my waistline, and I gained about another width in my back. I carry a lot of body fat and water weight in my back without even trying. So, but I want that because I want that width. That's what I want. So it's like I do back and shoulders because I'm working on my rear delts, and that's a whole nother avenue. But if you've been following me on Instagram, I've been posting that in my Insta stories of what I'm doing to build certain aspects of my body. But let's be clear, and I know this is shaking. Let's be clear about keto. Can you guys see it in my mirror? I mean, in my glasses. So I'm gonna take these off so it's not distracting. Variations of keto. The most common keto out there is more on the high in fats, and that includes butter and all kinds of creamers and stuff, like high on the fats, and low to no carbs whatsoever, and moderate on protein. That is the actual ketogenic diet. The idea is to get into ketosis, where you are using ketones. This is talking about, hormones and things, where the simplest way I can say it is now you're using your fat, your body fat, for energy instead of using carbohydrates or glucose or, like, guys get what I mean. You're using body fat. So it's that word of saying it takes fat to lose body fat. A standard American diet tells you that fat is bad for you and having higher amounts of fat is not good for you and it makes you gain weight. Well, keto is telling you that no, that's not the case, because there are so many women that are overweight that have tried this diet and they have had some success in it. And I won't say short period of time because everybody's timing is different. When we look at these videos and they're telling you, I lost this amount of pounds, ketogenic diet, but they don't really tell you the full amount of time that it actually took them to do that, which is usually about a year. And let's be realistic. But if it's your first time doing a ketogenic diet, it is very obvious you're going to see results fairly quickly within 21 to 30 days because it's a first timer for you. And once you dial it in, it works. But more than likely, you're losing you're losing water weight first. That's what you're losing. Don't get that twisted part. But it does not mean that you're not losing fat with that as well. So ketogenic diet, in that sense, that's one way. The other way is really just called low carb diet or no carb diet, but they categorize it as ketogenic because the fats are involved and no carbs are involved. Because no carbs are involved, that's why they put this second one that I'm mentioning as a ketogenic diet. But in reality, it's just low to no carb diet. That's all it is. I have those plans on my website. I have a ketogenic diet and I have a low carb diet. They are not the same. They are very different. And one is where you're just not having any carbs, starchy carbs, potato carbs, processed carbs. You're just focusing your carbs in your vegetables and having protein and moderate amount of fat. A ketogenic diet means vegetables, moderate protein, high on fats. That's the difference. Big difference. So, my experience is honestly with a low carb diet. That's my experience. Not on that high on the fats. And when I talk about fats, that means coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil. If you're cooking with those different oils, other than canola oil, and don't touch canola oil or vegetable oil, GMO. You guys get it. Simple way of looking at it. And walnuts, almonds, the nuts family, peanut butter. What else am I thinking? Avocados, which is actually my favorite. So these are things I'm higher on, but there are other things that are high on the fats, like bacon. You talk bacon, turkey bacon is not really high on fat, but bacon is one. There's heavy whipping creams. There's coffee, like fat bombers, like where you're adding coconut oil or MCT oil. You know, these are things that are higher in fats. And with higher in fats, that means you're high caloric. Those things are in higher caloric density, meaning there's just more calories. It's like 9 calories per serving. Yeah, it's a lot. So you're not necessarily looking at this in the sense of calories in versus calories out. You're just looking to be satiated enough to the point where you're eating less and you're able to lose body fat. So there's a difference. Mine is really with just low carbs, meaning I'm not touching any processed food, no starchy carbs, no sweet potato. Only time I'll have sweet potato, and that's the only carb I will add into my diet, is probably after about 9 days. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. I go by how I feel. If I feel like I'm just off mentally or just with energy wise, then I'll try to have some sweet potato with one or, just much more of my meal. And that's my idea of a cheat meal because I'm in the middle of prep. So my diet is different. So how do you do a low carb ketogenic diet? Focus on protein, focus on lots and lots of fibrous carbs. Fibrous carbs means vegetables. My phone is going off like crazy. So yeah, you need to focus on vegetables, focus on protein if that's what if you still eat meat, and focus on not having carbs whatsoever. Just only in the vegetables. Lots and lots of vegetables. That's the one thing that we seem to have the hardest time doing is eating vegetables. And I would say stick with the ones that you like. Continuously eat the same things because that takes the guessing work out of the diet itself and it keeps you consistent. Variety is okay, but when I mean variety in a sense, this is my idea of variety. Vegetables, green vegetables only. There's a number of green vegetables out there. Kale, spinach, green beans, Brussels sprouts. What else? There's more. Sugar snap peas. These are all the fibrous carbs. These are good carbs for you. They're vegetables. Move them around, place them however you want to, but it's no thought into it. You don't have to overthink it. Just stick with those things and only what you like, because if it's what you like, you'll stick with it. It's okay to try different things. Okay, yes. So that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up about constipation with keto. Detox. Detox teas help. There are teas out there specifically for digestive system, like for constipation or anything like that. If it's been a number of days and you're just not there, I use like a ginger tea and detox tea, and that helps me. Coffee also helps me a lot too because it's a stimulator, it's a diuretic, it's a fat burner, it's a whole lot of things. So coffee does help with me, but try a digestive enzyme. I have a multivitamin that has probiotics and digestive enzymes in it. So definitely look into a probiotic. Look into vegetables that are, what I want to say. Sauerkraut is one. Fermented vegetables. Sauerkraut is a really good fermented vegetable. So, yeah, coffee is wonderful. It's like one of the best diuretics for people like when they need to go to the bathroom. I'm just being real. I just use coffee. I just use almond creamer. That's all I use in my coffee. I used to do the whole keto coffee with the coconut oil, butter, and the whip. Like, I stopped doing that because it's just simpler for me to either just have straight black coffee or, and when I mean black coffee, there's no sweeteners in it because you have to stay away from sugar when you're on a keto and that's why I'm saying or low to no carb diet. They are not the same. Keto means more fat. Low carb means you're just not having carbs, but you're moderate on protein and moderate on your fat. And that depends on the person. I know that works best for me because my body actually works better with carbs. But because I understand that this low carb diet helps me to lean out a little bit quicker, then I play around with my carbs with it. So it conditions me better. The bulletproof coffee. I guess I can't either. I thought I could, and I'm gonna be honest, it does not taste bad. It tastes pretty good, but I like almond creamer. The almond creamer that I have is by Silk, and I look for the sugar content. It's only 5 grams of sugar. You shouldn't have no more than 17 grams of sugar in anything that you use per serving. So that's what I pay attention to is the sugar content because you can't have a lot of sugar. So my kitchen is pretty much 100% low, no carb. Like there's no processed foods. I have the right fats that I need. The only protein I seem to be still gravitating to is eggs. I'm chicken and fish and all that stuff. I think it's starting to stick, guys. I might end up being vegetarian, plant-based, like really soon. But right now, it's just every time I try, it's like, nope, I'd rather just have eggs. Just meat just is getting on my nerves. And I still try to get my protein intake through my protein supplements. I do take protein shakes. So with like strawberries, blueberries, the low glycemic index type carbs. So that's the only thing that I have first thing after a workout. I do my workouts fasted. So I'm trying that again. So that's my experience with low carb keto diet. So they are different. The reason why I can't with the bulletproof coffee, why can I not do? Because my body just, I don't like a lot of fats for me. I know it works for others, but it doesn't seem to be all of that well for me. Low carb is good for me for a short period of time, and then I have to pull carbs back into my diet. So I do carb cycling a lot. I'll have days where I just don't have carbs, and I don't have a lot of fat. So I only cook my vegetables and coconut oil, and I don't even use a lot of that. So it's no need for me to have coffee with all this extra stuff in it. I just like black coffee or coffee with almond creamer because it's simple. Sitting here trying to put a certain amount of butter and MCT oil, MCT oil, all that, it's too much for me. Yes, I know people have a lot of energy with it. So you can lose a lot of weight on a keto or low to no carb diet. It's a strategy that I use to play around with as a carb cycling way, meaning carb cycling, no carbs or low carbs on certain days, and then I'll have a day of high carbs, and more than likely it's sweet potatoes, and I have it at every meal. That's what I call a cheat meal or clean cheat meal. I don't do the whole, not that this is wrong, because you can do this. It's a total different way of looking at it. But you can have like pizza for a day, not the full day, just one of your meals, or you might have what we call cheat items, like you want a bag of potato chips, eat it. Those, it's really good right after your workout. So like That's what some people think cheating is eating the foods that are not good for you. But when you're doing a prep for a competition or something in that nature, cheating is not that kind of cheating. It's more so paying attention to clean cheating. That's eating the right carbs. No processed foods, no breads, none of that stuff. Just stick with what works for you. Now, there are some bodybuilders that go to rice, they go to oatmeal, they go to breads and things like that, Ezekiel bread, and that is totally right. That is totally fine because they know that works for them. And it works for some of my clients as well. But what works for me happens to be sweet potato and fruit. And the only fruit that I really pay more attention is the triple berry, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. That's the only thing that I deal with. So I keep it extremely simple, and the reason why I keep it simple because I don't like to think too hard about eating. For some people, that can cause a eating disorder. So always thinking about what I'm going to eat next, trying to find variety, trying to do something different. All of this, tons of information coming at you, whether it's by you just listening or searching for it, it can get confusing, and then you keep changing up, and then you don't get to see what really works for you because you're too busy changing, and consistency means doing the same thing over and over and over again for a longer period of time. So once you understand how it works, stick with it until you yield the results that you're looking for. Just stick with it. So ketogenic diets and low carb diets are not easy to stick with. They're not necessarily what I would consider a sustainable way of eating. It is a sustainable way of eating for some people, for some clients that I have, where that's just necessary because of medical ailments that they have, where there's no way around it. That's going to have to be the diet for you. So, but for most cases, it's not a sustainable diet. It's not something that people can just do for the rest of their life. But there are some where that's just necessary. And so they have to train and discipline themselves into that. And it yields great results that way. Thank you. Thank you. So my experience is more so with low carb dieting, not keto, because I'm not pushing my fats up very high. I'm keeping protein and my fats moderate, and I'm just having lots of vegetables, trying to stay with the fibrous carbs. With that comes constipation. We're just being real with that. So coffee helps, black coffee, or, try to stay away from sweeteners. If it's at least 5 grams of sugar in it, that's fine. And low on the calories, that's good. Or deal with detox teas. A probiotic helps. Or multivitamin that has a probiotic. So that's my experience with it, and I'm leaning out because my veins are starting to show. Now, fasting as opposed to intermittent fasting. No Splenda. No, I don't like the taste of Splenda, so I can't tell you that it's not right for you. I just don't like the taste of Splenda. I don't like the taste of anything that is what they call artificial sweeteners. Because when you say artificial, to me, I look at that as, it's processed, so I don't want to be bothered with it. But I can't honestly say to you that you can't have Splenda. So let me re-answer that. It's okay in moderation. Low moderation, because in a ketogenic diet or a low carb diet, the idea is to stay away from sugar or glucose, and that is in carbs. There's sugar in all carbs. There's all processed food. So, and that includes sweeteners, honey. I don't care what it is. They all are sweeteners, and they have more than 17 grams, maybe somewhere around 16 grams of more than that of based on how many tablespoons or your servings you're having way too much sugar in your diet. So you have to pay attention to that. But I believe Splenda is a 0-calorie sweetener. So if it tastes good for you and it works for you, go for it. But I just prefer black coffee or almond creamer. That's just what I like, because I like lattes. So now fasting, my experience with fasting versus intermittent fasting, because I do intermittent fasting. Everybody does intermittent fasting. Everybody does. Again, you eat within a certain window and you don't eat within a certain window. Now, how many times you eat within that window is totally up to you. Whether it's once a day with a large meal, twice a day with two large meals, three times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or if you're like three large meals, two snacks, that's six times. I mean, that's 5 to 6 times. That's totally up to you. Some people like to eat every 2 hours. Some people like to eat every 4 hours. Some people like to eat every 6 hours. It all depends, but you're still within a certain window because you have to go to bed. So you have to sleep. That is your fasting window. And when you wake up, you may not choose to eat breakfast at, first thing in the morning. You break your fast whenever you decide to eat. So anybody says breakfast, I skipped breakfast. No, you didn't. You had breakfast. You just had it later in the day. So, hey, everyone. So, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's what breakfast means. You're breaking your fast. You've slept, you wake up, you eat. Or you wake up, you wait a long period, and then you eat. Doesn't matter what time it is. So, my experience with a 24-hour fast was crazy. My advice to you from my mistake, drink more water. Drink tons of water because you're going to be hungry. My body was hungry, but for some apparent reason, my mental clarity was better. And when I was doing things around the house or I had to take care of business, it made me forget the fact that I was hungry. But you still should drink water because it's easy to be dehydrated on a ketogenic low carb diet because carbohydrates means hydrating the body, hydrate. So you need water. It's the same thing if you are doing the fast. Don't fast from water. Just drink more water. But I had the worst headache I have ever experienced in my life, and I'm just telling you this from my experience. Would I suggest someone to do a fast at least once a week for weight loss? Yes, I would. It has a benefit of actually calming your system down, giving yourself a break from energy and food, and it definitely causes you to utilize excess body fat. It does. Water weight and excess body fat. And especially if you are hydrating yourself and you're using L-carnitine, not a fat burner. L-carnitine is a supplement that is a fat metabolizer. So especially if you're using that, not a fat burner, but an L-carnitine or a CLA. CLA is like fish oil, and a fat burner is kind of different. Yes, so the Sabbath, yeah. So people fast for different reasons. Some people fast for religious purposes, or I would rather say spiritual purposes instead of saying religious purposes. But for spiritual purposes, some people do it for health reasons. I was doing it just for the fact of testing it out to see how it works for me. And I had a headache from it because I was hungry and I was not drinking enough water. So I knew that was the case. So that means I was dehydrated. So the third time that I did it was awesome. Clarity, everything, no headache, lots of energy because I didn't feel like I was weighed down by food or trying to digest food or anything like that. And I wasn't thinking about food. So it does help. But my experience with a low carb and a fasting, that's what I'm doing right now. So would I suggest this to you guys? Try it and see if it works for you. Don't try it just because I said try it and you're on a particular protocol, whether it's something that I've given you as your coach or some other, you have another coach that you're following or that you're working with. Don't try to do what I'm doing. Don't do that. But if you are looking for a way to get started in some way, shape, or form, and you're not exactly sure where to go with it, try a low carb diet. Play around with the higher amounts on fats if you like it. I know it's not easy because not everybody likes avocados or nuts or things like that, or cooks with oils, with the right oils, I say. But try a keto, a low carb diet for like a good 21 days And after the 21 days, start to have one day of a 24-hour fast or maybe a shorter period of a fast. No, you cannot drink alcohol on a water fasting. It's not the same thing. And alcohol has sugar in it. So the amount of sugar, you're trying to stay away from sugar. So no, if you're fasting and you're just drinking water, you're talking about hydrating yourself. I know I laughed at that one. But no alcohol at all, because you're just going to dehydrate yourself. That doesn't make sense to dehydrate. That's what alcohol does to you and the amount of sugar that it has. So if you guys got questions, let me know. I'm trying to not make these so long. This thing is starting to feel heavy on my head. My hair is in twist right now, and I just don't feel like taking it out. So that's why I put this head wrap on. So yes, low carb fruits. So I have low carb fruits. That's in the berries family: strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, cranberries, like those. That's in the berries aspect, and I have that with my smoothie. That's the first thing that I have in the morning. So, which you will see a video on this. Do I use leucine when I do keto? No, I don't. I do a low carb diet. I don't do a keto. Again, mentioning the difference. People lump low carb as keto because they think that keto means no low carb. Keto means you're higher on the fats and no carbs. In this case, I'm just low carb, moderate protein, moderate fats. That's a big difference. That is a shorter term. Ketogenic can be more long term for you. You can do it for a longer period of time because of the amount of fats that you're eating in your diet, and that's replacing the carbohydrate energy. Fat and carbs are energy. So is protein too, but protein helps you build muscle. But there's protein in other foods too. They don't always have to come from your meat. There's protein in your vegetables, guys. There's protein in peanut butter. There's protein in everything. So if you're not a meat eater, don't think that you're losing out on anything just because you're not eating meat. You can still build muscle. You can still have you can still have a toned physique. It's just all in how you're training yourself. But I don't use leucine at all. I use an L-carnitine, and it just focus on just manipulating my diet. Blackberries they're all in the berries family. Anything that ends with berries on the end of it, they're all in the berries family. They're low glycemic, meaning they're lower in sugar, which is totally different from bananas. Bananas are good for you because of the potassium that's in it, but you do want to have that in moderation too. That bananas, plantains, sweet potatoes are the carbs that I kind of stay around. And more so the sweet potatoes, if anything. Yes, I'm a nuts and cranberries girl. Yes. And that's a great snack to have. Am I having that now? No. My diet is extremely strict on just protein and lots of vegetables. And I'll have almonds, walnuts, or avocado with my meal. Or if I don't have those things, I'll make sure my vegetables is cooked in coconut oil, so I am having some form of moderate fat. I have not been to the gym, it seems like in a couple weeks, but I work out. I have a gym in my home, so I prefer. But yeah, I do work out well on it. I'm amazed at that too. But yes, I'm not trying to kill myself when I do it. My cardio is fasted. And it's at I try to do at least 200 calories or at least 30, whichever one comes first. 200 calories or 30 minutes of cardio. It's at a moderate pace. It's not at a very slow pace. It's at a moderate or a little bit higher intensity if I'm trying to get through it. So I go by how I feel with my cardio, and I tend to do my cardio before I do any strength training. And my strength training is different as total body because I'm trying to build specific aspects of my body. So I'm pinpointing my exercises daily. I do total body because I'm working out certain elements of my body to shape myself a certain way. That's what bodybuilding is about. So, yes, I do feel like I perform very well on a low carb diet. I mean, at times I don't feel like it, but I'll get it done. Meatless crispy tenders. I that is. I think that's. I don't know. I'm still going to consider it a processed food. It's processed. If it comes in a bag, I don't. It's processed. No matter how much my this is just me talking from how I eat. I'm extremely simple, and I mean extreme simple. Just meats, and right now it's just eggs and vegetables. I keep it there. I don't search for other things because to me it's processed. It's not something that I cooked. Something that's prepared. No, it doesn't affect your body in a negative way. I think it just, sorry, Lord. I think it just depends on the person. It has not affected my body in a negative way. It's actually affected my body in that I'm starting to lean out. There are people that are on YouTube where they train fasted. I think what is his name? Um, well, no, you won't lose muscle when you do fasted cardio. I'm learning that too. It's not you're losing muscle, you are going to lose body fat. I mean, that's what I had to do for my competition, and that's what worked for me, is doing fasted cardio. Um, Branched chain amino acids does help with that. Training and weightlifting, it is suggested, even I wouldn't suggest that you do that fasted, but I'm on a different playing field now. That was something that I wouldn't suggest and I wouldn't do in my beginning stages. But now, because I am a little bit leaner, this is just some little tricks that I pulled out on my own. Okay, understood. But yeah, training fasted. What is his name? He's on YouTube, and he talks a lot about is it keto? What is he talks a lot about fasting, a lot about intermittent fasting, and training fasted. And he's an extremely lean guy. Um, I haven't seen a lot of women doing that, but yes, Kino Body, that's his name. Kino, is that right? That's his name. Thomas Delora is a different guy. He's from Six Pack Abs. Um, he talks a lot about keto and intermittent fasting. He used to talk a lot about carb cycling. That's originally how I learned about him. Was he talked a lot about carb cycling in 2015 and 16. So 17 and 18, which now we're in, he talks a lot about keto because he started getting into it and realizing that it works best for him. Yep, he did just do a video on that. Yeah, so benefits of working out fasted for me, I just feel leaner. I don't feel like I've lost muscle at all. And it's very noticeable that I haven't lost it the day that I decide to have carbs because that, sweet potato goes straight to my muscles. So it just fills me out. But that's speaking on bodybuilding and manipulating water and salt and carbs to get your body to look a certain way for stage readiness. So it is different. But because I'm coaching more so on the health and lifestyle thing, I give you a little bit of that information, but I want you to keep it simple because simplicity is more sustainable than variety or trying to figure out the science of everything. And Thomas Delora, he's really good with the science aspect of it, but I like the simplicity. So I'll read what he says and then I try to simplify it. What's a good clean salad? All the vegetables that you enjoy in it. Try to avoid salad dressings and just use extra virgin olive oil or vinaigrette. That's a clean salad to me. So anything else like salad dressings and stuff, just keep it out of your diet. Keep it out of that salad. Just focus on the vegetables. And if you need some taste to it, try vinaigrette. How important is calculating your BMR for a keto diet? I think it's more important that you understand what you should be eating on a ketogenic diet than paying attention to ketone. The science of it is important. It's understood. Everything is now about science. Let's just face it. When people before, when they weren't, how are they doing this when science wasn't all that important? We're just starting to get this whole science about it because people are researching and trying to find out what works, what doesn't work. And the truth is it all freaking works. But where was I going with that? No, I don't do that. It's just more so paying attention to if you're doing keto, higher on the fats, moderate protein, no carbs or low carbs, stay at like below 50 starting off and then go as low as you can. Or if you're going to do a low carb, just stay away from carbs for a number of days and then add it back into your diet for a day and a couple of meals and then go back into it. Yes, you can combine keto and intermittent fasting. The reason why is everybody intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting just means timing. Just when do you eat? It's not about how you're eating. Keto is how. Intermittent fasting is a when. Time and what? Yeah, so you can do both. Everybody does intermittent fasting. I'm saying that again. I know I am. Everybody does it. You eat at a certain time and you don't eat at a certain time. Don't get too crazy about intermittent fasting. It's like, I need to eat between this time, all the time, every time. No, you don't. Eat when you're hungry. There we are. Stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. There we go. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Don't think you have to combine all of these concoctions of things just to get results. Find it, make it sustainable for 30 days, and if it works for you, keep it up until you get to a point where you're just not getting any results for longer than 3 months. Because your body needs time to adjust to what you're doing to it. So that means you're going to plateau in a sense, so your body can catch up and stay at a certain point and get used to that maintenance. And then if you feel like, okay, I'm constantly doing the same thing, I'm still not getting a budge, it's been 4 months, then kind of change up a little bit of something, but not too much. So yes, you can keto and you can intermittent fast together. I do. I low carb and intermittent fast, and I also fast 24 hours on a Sunday. Because I like that day. I like that day to just not do anything. So if you guys don't have any more questions, it's about to be 45 minutes. My phone is going off and I'm trying, oh, it's been off. So I'll be live this evening, 10 o'clock on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you will see me there. I probably will be talking about the same thing. Will you see, yeah. Benefits of apple cider vinegar, digestion, and appetite suppressant. Coffee for some people is an appetite suppressant, and coffee for other people just make them hungry. So you gotta pay attention to your body and what you put into your body, how it makes you feel. Coffee for me is actually more so an appetite suppressant, especially black coffee. But the benefits of apple cider vinegar, just really an appetite suppressant. It doesn't have any like minerals or like nutrient benefits, but it does help with appetite suppressant. Yes, green tea instead of coffee. Yes. Yes, coffee. Yeah, coffee makes me forget about food too. And then I forget, like, oh, I have to eat something. So it does make me feel like not hungry. And then I do so much that it does make me forget, like, oh, I need to eat. When I sip on coffee. So by this time, I probably won't eat until 2 o'clock because it's almost 1. And at this point in time, I would probably do some weight training or maybe not. It depends on how I feel. If I feel like I can go on and do some kind of weight training. I already done fasted cardio, so if I do some kind of weight training, I'll probably do it closer to the time that I'm ready to have my first meal. Awesome. Hmm. Um, don't worry. That's a good one. I need to talk with. Sweating doesn't necessarily mean that I can't even say it because some people just don't sweat. That's just I don't care how hard they work, they just don't. So that's understandable, but it could mean that you're not drinking enough water. You need to drink at least 2 to 3 liters of water a day. That's minimum. The suggestion is at least half your body weight in ounces. So I drink about 75 ounces. 90 ounces is 3 liters. So um, I'm close to 3 liters of water. Does that include teas? Yeah, coffee, not really, but it does include teas, especially if you're having low to 0 calorie sweeteners with your teas. You can have whatever kind of tea you want: black tea, green tea, detox teas, ginger teas. You can have whatever teas you want if you're not a coffee drinker. But you can add all of those except for coffee as a part of your hydration intake of water. However, for me, mentally, me thinking, I don't usually count those. I just make those as like extra points with it. And I try to drink at least 75 to 90 ounces of water itself a day. So I do 332 ounces a day, and it's always in between my meals. That's the easiest way I can keep up. Now, teas and all of that stuff just comes with how I feel, and it ends up being close to a gallon by the time I'm done, drinking. But on that day I did a fast, was not thinking like, why wasn't I not drinking water? So I guess just mentally for me, my fasting was thinking I was fasting from everything, like water, food, everything. Just don't intake anything, and that's not the case. If you're going to food fast, drink plenty of water. But sweating, I don't know. I sweat. It doesn't even matter. I sweat. But your expenditure, your energy, how much you can go 100% on something in a shorter period of time is more important than anything. And your recovery may have to be longer instead of shorter. So I do need to talk about high intensity interval training a little differently now, because there's a video that I'm finishing up that talks about weight loss after 40, because it is a little different. My weight loss journey started when I was like, what, 36? I think somewhere in there, 35, 36. It is a little different, but we're talking about being 40 and up. Weight loss is a little bit different. You're not necessarily this, straight up like gym goer all the time. And if you do, you're probably do more cardio than you do weight training. You're not doing bodybuilding, things like that. So weight loss is a little bit different when you're trying to add training into the subject, not just what you're eating. Yeah, because starting at 35, I think they say for women starting at around 30, your metabolism slows down. Um, Yeah, and then we already have been practicing bad habits for a longer period of time already. So once we get to that age, it just gets harder. But it's different for people who've been living a certain way and they get to that age. Yeah, it slows down, but it's not so like it's so hard for them to lose weight because they have already been living a certain lifestyle. So this one is really just for people who are like they've never really lived this lifestyle. Yeah, they've never really lived this lifestyle. And that's diet. Your belly will not go nowhere no matter how much exercise you do if you do not get that diet under control. And you may be thinking that you are eating perfectly fine, but I am telling you that for an extremely small waist, a flat belly, the diet is extremely limited. It's very regimented. Same way, there's no variety. It's just not. That it's diet for that. And then sometimes it's just stress. You may have adrenal fatigue, and having some kind of adrenal support could help with that. It could be digestive issues where you're actually just bloated because your intestines and you may not have, the right bacteria, gut bacteria in your body, and that could be a whole lot. You could have parasites. I'm going too far into it, but it's a lot of factors to that. You can exercise all day, but you want abs in the kitchen is it. So if you need help, go to my website. I am starting a 21-day challenge. Starts tomorrow, so I got to get some girls, settled in and get them started, which they probably have already been in there. So I have the 21-day challenge starts February the 8th. I'm looking for more people to get involved because you win $100 for that. I One of the winners, she's already posted on my website. You hear her story, you see her results. Got dollars to get into it. I have programs on there. I didn't build new ones because I'm learning that the ones that I did build. Are we there? Okay, there we are. I'm having some issues with this, but we'll see. But check out my website. Decide which one of the programs you want to do, or if you want to start off with the 21-day challenge. I also have Intro to Coaching, which that is a 30-day. That's like a 4-week program. That's giving you the meal plan, a training program, so that I can get a better understanding of lifestyle, your goals, what you want, what works for you. So when they get to see, and I can explain things, and I'm going to try to add that into my videos here on YouTube as well, but there'll be smaller snippets. But for my clients and the member site, since I have my gym here at home, I can get more in depth in the workouts and do workouts with you live. So that's what I'm working on. So I've gotten my coach the way that I want to structure it so that I can we'll go from there. So you guys on Instagram tonight because I'm having some weird connection issues.